The Blackhouse is one of our iconic buildings. It was originally built in the 1940s on I.F. Grant's Canusie site. It was one of three historic buildings that were built on the site in the 40s. This is a house that would normally be found in the Outer Hebridean Islands of Lewis and Harris, built to withstand the severe weather conditions. You have the gales coming off the Atlantic Ocean there, so the houses had to be built very strongly. They would be normally built with the gable end into the prevailing wind. The corners are nicely rounded off. The walls are probably about 5 feet thick, and they're cleverly built of an internal and an external wall with a core of sand, which helped as a windbreak and also as a drain. The thatched roof, generally marram grass on the Outer Hebridean Islands, but sometimes heather, was tucked in. You can see here, tucked in, so that the rainwater would then drain down from the thatch through the core of sand and helping to keep the inner house dry. At this end of the Blackhouse we have a kale yard. These were small patches of gardens protected from the wind and from the animals by high turf walls. In here the potatoes and kale would have been grown to feed the family, and the kale was also used to feed the animals over the winter months.
I'm Marion. I've worked here for a long time. I'm just going to show you a little bit about the business of the wool while I've been working here. So we can start with the natural wools. So today we have our indigenous sheep. This is a lamb's fleece. It's a beautiful fleece. It's a big long staple and it's very silky. And to spin this wool, you don't have to comb it. You can just spin it straight off the fleece onto the wheel, and you call that worsted wool. And the reason for worsted wool is it makes it much stronger and it's easier to put on the loom because it stretches much further and it's stronger and there's not really any breaks in it. Well, what we do first usually is we'll boil it in urine to get the lanolin out of it. Then we have to boil it again to put the dye in it, but we'll come to that purpose. So once we've spun it, when we take it off the wheel, we can make a hank of one-stranded wool, the one ply, and it can be quite fine. After which you can then ply it. So myself, I just do it in 2-ply. It's quite fine, so it's thin enough. And then once it's done, we can then apply the dye to it. Now the lichens we have off the dike here, this is the time of year they're ripe and they're crispy and they're falling off, so you don't have to scrape. You just pick them up and you layer them in the pot on the bottom, put your wool in, another layer, more wool, and then another layer. Bring the pot to the boil, the lichens will start to go slimy and soft and they'll release all the colour. And that way we get the burnt oranges you see here. Urine will help to enhance the colour and fix the dye. And of course in the ancient colours, the urine was left in the cloth to keep the colour vibrant and to help shrink the dye a little bit, so everybody smelt the same.
The process, the principle of making rope was using a fibre, and it's been going for about 5,000 years. Today we're using sisal, or you could use hemp, but we've got the jack, the traveller, and we've got to use the rope 6 strands from the traveller to the jack and twist it. As it's twisted, it goes into 3 strands, And once it's tight enough, we use the cone to work the rope into the way it goes now, and it will be twisted and tightened, and that's the finished rope. Long ago they would have no sisal or nothing in a blockhouse. They would just use what they had, heather, straw or grass. And probably the grass rope would be made when they were making the hay to keep the rucks held down in the wind. And when they were finished with them, they would maybe feed them to the cows to save waste, because nothing was wasted in days.